everybody? This is Jack Scullin of Scullin Media, and in today's music lesson, episode 7, we're going to be discussing the circle of fifths and fourths, as well as interval inversions, which the circle of fifths is how you figure out how many sharps or flats are in any given key, and interval inversions are how you figure out the interval relationships between notes once they shift octaves. So, without further ado, let's do. On episode 7 of our beginner's music theory course, we're going to discuss the circle of fifths as well as interval inversions. Let's get rid of this S. So, let's start with the circle of fifths. So, as we discussed in previous videos, and as a basis of explaining chords and scales, I mainly focus on C major, which has 0 sharps or flats. But if we want to figure out which keys have sharps and flats and how many, then we can use our C as a reference point to discern if and how many intervals away from the C the new key has. So let's first discuss our sharp keys. So if we're starting on C major, and I listed here the minor, the relative minor, which as we know is diatonic down a sixth. So in C major, our sixth is an A, and that would be A minor, and so those share the exact same number of sharps and flats. And up here we have our majors. So this wheel shows how we can figure that out. So this arrow is pointing and it says fifths. So if we go up fifths from C, we can figure out what sharps are in the key. So we started with C, and then the fifth of C, which is C, D, E, F, G, so G is our fifth, that denotes that we have 1 sharp. So from C, if we go up a fifth, it would be G, and the key of G has 1 sharp. And if we continue this, now if we go up a fifth from G, so G, A, B, C, D, D is the fifth of G, we have 2 sharps in that key. And if we continue going, so the fifth of D is A, the fifth of A is E, and so forth, we add an additional sharp. And since a major scale is comprised of the exact same interval relationship, when we switch the tonic, it will inevitably lead to playing different notes as if we were in C. So, for instance, a C major scale sounds like this. But if we start on, let's say, D, and we play the exact same interval relationship that we did with C, or the exact same spacing, it'll sound like this. So although those scales are exactly the same, they are comprised of different notes based on the tonic. And furthermore, if we want to figure out our flat keys, then we go left of the wheel in what we call the circle of fourths. So, if we're in C, and we want to figure out which key has our first flat, then we go up a fourth. So, C, D, E, F. So, F is the fourth of C, so that key has 1 flat. If we go up a fourth from F, we get a B flat. And it'll do the exact same thing. You keep going up fourths relative to the previous key, then you add an additional flat. Hey y'all, I just wanted to make a quick note. So, when we're figuring out what the new sharp is, in a key, it's when we are talking about the circle of fifths, the sharp that you'll add to any given key will be the leading tone of the tonic. So for instance, we're in G, so this has our first sharp, and the sharp that's introduced is an F sharp, which is the leading tone of G. The next one with two sharps will also have an F sharp, but it'll have its leading tone, which is C sharp. Furthermore, or continuation, A will have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, the leading tone of A. And then with the flats, the new flat that you'll be adding is the fourth of your tonic. So C, we're in, C has no sharps or flats, so F has our first sharps or flats, and the fourth of F is B flat, and then since we're going in the circle of fourths, the next key with an additional flat will be B flat, and its fourth is E flat, next one will be E flat, and the new flat that you'll be adding to the key will be A flat, so the next one with four flats will be A flat. So that is the circle of fifths and fourths, and that's how you'll figure out how many sharps or flats are within a given key. So if you're thinking about, let's say as a point of reference, I'm trying to figure out how many sharps and flats are in E. So you can start from C, D, E, F, G, G. Now G is our one. G, A, B, C, D. D is our fifth. Now D, E, F, G, A. A is our fifth. A, B, C, D, E. So we were adding a sharp each time, so E has four sharps. And so what that'll look like is, so this would be in C major, so we have no sharps or flats. This is where we include the sharps and flats. And in the treble clef, this pitch right here is our relative C. So C, D, E, F. So C, F, C, F. Now, if we were in G, for instance, the key would look like this. Okay? So we added an F, and this is also an F. So we would read it like C, F sharp, because the key itself denotes that this is a F sharp, so we don't have to write the sharp in front of it, because it's implied based on the key. So this would be C, F sharp, C, F sharp. Furthermore, if we were in D, which has two sharps, we add another sharp to the key, then this would be C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp. And if for whatever reason, as it'll surely come, you need to play an C natural, meaning that it's not sharp or flat, and you're in the key of D, all you have to do is this is a C sharp, F sharp, and let's say we want to make this a C natural. So we add this little mark right here. It's a little square with two lines, and that denotes that this is a C natural. Okay? So, let's move on to interval inversions. So, what I have written here is what an interval would be if it was reverse, or if one of the intervals went up an octave, and then what is that new relationship that we have? Okay? So, I can explain this. So, our tonic is also 8, so it's the exact same note, since in a major scale, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So the 1 and the 8 is the exact same note. So if you take it up an octave, it would just be an 8. But let's say if our interval is C, and then we have our second, which is D. So C, and then our next note is D. So from C to D is a second. But if we take our C and we bring it up an octave, this is now a seventh, because the distance from D, if D is now our bottom note, so we're figuring out which interval it is, then we go D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So C is a seventh. And if we continue this, our third, if we take our third up an octave, it becomes a sixth. If we take our fourth up an octave, it becomes a fifth. And then now I want you to notice this interesting pattern. So now that we're here, these will just be reversed. It'll just be basically like a mirror image. So if we take a fourth up an octave, it becomes a fifth. If we take a fifth up an octave, it becomes a fourth. If we take a sixth up an octave, it becomes a third. So as you can see, these are analogous. So 7 becomes 2, 8 becomes 1. And a way that you can represent that or visualize that is this is what one scale looks up going to complete octave, and then so we have an F and an F, and so this 1 to 8 or F to F, if we take that top F and we go down, it makes this crisscrossing X shape. So basically it kind of just shows in an image how that mirror component is displayed. So it's like it just crisscrosses each other, and it would continue to do that. And kind of similar to this, if you want to see it on music notation, I have written here, so F to A is a third, but we take that F up an octave. Now our A is on the bottom, so A to F is a sixth. So when we're figuring out intervals, we're talking about relative to the bottom pitch, or the pitch that's lowest in that chord, or that two-note relationship. So even though these are comprised of the exact same notes, one note is taken up an octave, so that interval relationship switches. So that concludes episode 7. If you have any questions about the circle of fifths or fourths, interval inversions, comment below, and subscribe to the channel for more music lessons. And as always, tootle-ew.